Zaffarini, Paxton, Hughes.
For the benefit of those watching or here who may not be familiar with the process, there are multiple hearings taking place in the Capitol this morning, and so you'll see members of this committee in and out. Their staffs are present and also watching on the video, and so everybody's involved, everybody's participating.
Okay, so you want to do 18? Which one do you want to do first? 88? And is there any subs on that?
And I'll yield the gavel to Senator Perry.
Chair calls up Senate Bill 688 and asks bill author Senator Hughes to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In 2022, Congress passed the Election Count Reform Act to clarify how electoral votes are cast and counted. And one key change they made was moving the Electoral College meeting date to the first Tuesday after the second Wednesday in December. The Texas Election Code was in compliance with federal law before federal law changed. And so Senate Bill 688 fixes this by moving our electors' meeting day from Monday to Tuesday. No substantive change. It'll still be our electors we choose, speaking for the people of Texas. And I yield. Thank you.
Members, any question on Senate Bill 688 for the bill author? Chair has none. Public testimony. Okay. Members, we do have a resource witness from Secretary of State, I assume. Any questions for the witness resource? All right. There are no public witnesses wishing to testify on Senate Bill 688. Is there anybody that wishes to testify on, for, or against Senate Bill 688? Seeing and hearing none, public testimony is closed. Move on. 666. Chair recognizes, calls up Senate Bill 6666. That's a tough number. Did you draw that number? 666. Ask the Senate author, Senator Hughes, to explain Senate Bill 666.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill relates to something that came to us from the district, nitrous oxide, laughing gas. Many folks may have experienced that at the dentist office. Though also often used for medical and for culinary purposes. I didn't realize that. And so there are many nitrous oxide sellers, such as Galaxy Gas, that provide commercial grade size canisters of flavored nitrous oxide, flavored laughing gas. They're labeled for commercial use in kitchens to make whipped cream, but their flavors, such as the ones Galaxy Gas sells, are clearly tailored to appeal to children who inhale the nitrous oxide for the flavor and the resulting high. Nitrous oxide is only meant to be inhaled for medical purposes under supervision by trained medical professionals. And without that, taking in so much nitrous oxide, it's easy for children to abuse it and to suffer serious negative side effects, especially on young, developing brains, nerve damage, psychosis, and there's even evidence that it's caused sudden death when the dose was so great. It's also concerning how easy it is for kids to get their hands on these. Amazon, Walmart, they sell canisters to anyone, regardless of their age. And so this bill would fix that by setting the required age to purchase nitrous oxide to 21. It also prohibits the delivery to anyone under 18, so a straw man purchase would be addressed as well. And also, there's an affirmative defense if these products are being used for business or commercial valid purposes. This is something we were not aware of, but the more we dug into it, the more we realized it was a problem. It's about protecting children. Adults can do whatever they want to do, but this is about protecting children, and I yield.
Thank you for that. Members, are there any questions to the bill author on Senate Bill 666? Members, good. Chair will open up public testimony on Senate Bill 666. Chair calls Margin Linnell, MD. Very good. Is it 2 minutes?
She's invited. So 5 minutes. Thank you.
I'm sorry, it is invited witness. State your name, who you're with, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Chair Hughes and members of the Senate Committee on State Affairs. My name is Dr. Marjan Linnell. I'm a pediatrician here in the Austin area, and I'm testifying on behalf of the Texas Medical Association, as well as the Texas Pediatric Society, in support of Senate Bill 666, which, as Chair Hughes mentioned, seeks to prohibit the sale of nitrous oxide to individuals under 21 years of age. We encourage evidence-based policies that will prevent youth access to these harmful substances. As we just discussed, basically nitrous oxide is known as laughing gas. We use it in a lot of dental procedures and medical procedures, as the chair mentioned. Typically, when it's being used in these procedures, it's really only 30 to 70%. But right now, the availability of all ages of kids to buy it can even go up to 100%, which is particularly toxic. One of the things that it does is it can permanently damage and affect B12, which is really important for neurologic function. So it can lead to permanent brain damage, permanent spinal cord injury, and addiction, which is especially problematic in young developing brains. It's so harmful for young developing brains that it's actually classified as an abused volatile chemical due to its significant misuse in recent years, especially among minors. A significant concern is the widespread lack of awareness about the serious health risks associated with inhaling nitrous oxide, particularly as it nears 100%. Its easy accessibility at gas stations and vape shops, along with social media promotion, has made it really popular among kids. In addition to being a pediatrician here in Austin, I'm the mom of a tween, but don't tell him I called him that. He does not like being called a tween, but he is. And so I'm acutely aware of what's going on social media, and there's currently a TikTok challenge where you film yourself inhaling nitrous oxide, which can lead to passing out as a short-term issue, in addition to all of the other things that we discussed as long-term issues. To address these issues, it's crucial to implement mandatory state registration for retailers selling nitrous oxide and enforce an age restriction of 21 and older for purchases. It's going to ensure better regulation, oversight, and safer handling of the substance. Additionally, prohibiting nitrous oxide sales in locations with cigarette or alcohol permits and banning the flavors that we just heard mentioned can further protect children and adolescents. As a mom and a pediatrician, I'm seeing a lot of parallels between the way tobacco, is marketed to kids with colorful cartoons and pictures of animals and flavors like cotton candy. I was just looking online last night to see how easily I could go purchase this if I wanted to, and the gas station down the street from our house down in South Austin in the suburbs had mango flavor, cotton candy flavored, and my 11-year-old could have walked in and purchased it. We really support enhanced data collection on drug overdoses and fatalities, along with robust public health response, and we hope that it'll provide valuable insights to guide additional effective interventions and prefer further harm. In closing, we want to thank the committee for considering our input on Senate Bill 666. By supporting this bill, we can take a meaningful step towards protecting the health of our youth and preventing access to substances that can cause harm. We trust that the committee will continue to prioritize evidence-based measures to safeguard the well-being of Texas kids. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you for that. Chair recognizes Senator Swertner. Senator Colkhurst is present. Mr. Chairman, you got questions?
Doctor, thank you for being here. And this is something that was new to us. Tell me, when did you learn about this? You're obviously on top of it, and you treat children. How long has this been a concern?
It's been a concern for some time, though the recent TikTok challenges and the recent increased accessibility and the fact that certain companies are now more recently specifically adding flavors and targeting kids, that's been a bit more recent in recent years. So it's not that nitrous oxide hasn't been around, but the accessibility, the lack of restrictions on age, and now the marketing specifically targeting minors has made it much more concerning of late.
Thank you, Doctor.
Mr. Chairman, I'm beginning to understand more and more as we deal with the hemp conversations and the nitric oxide. There's corporations and companies that put this stuff out and start marketing it to kids, the tobacco industry for Joe Camel campaigns. But corporations are owned by people, and somewhere between the people and the corporate structure, you lose your conscience. And you focus strictly on, no matter what harm it does, on the bottom line. So for generations, the cigarette tobacco industry has got into our food supply. We learned yesterday, Senator Paxton was recognized for being here. So free enterprise is awesome when it works for the good, but boy, when it gets off the rails and causes harm to our youth, specifically targeting in multiple arenas this session. You're going to hear that theme. There's a problem. But just the corporate veil, if you will, was meant to protect them from legal liability, so to speak. You can pierce it, but there is people behind that. And I hope that somewhere in this process, this session, there's an awakening that we do have responsibility as a corporate shareholder that promotes the poisons that we are hearing about, seeing about, and living through the effects as state legislatures, as federal in healthcare, not only just the tragic loss of life that comes with it. So, you know, I'm a free market guy, but somewhere in the middle here, the shareholders behind that corporation need to start having a conscience and say enough and stop it. You have questions? Senator Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Doctor, for being here. Appreciate your testimony very much. I appreciate the questions that Senator Hughes just asked in your response. Can you just talk for a moment about the brain science and what's happening here with this, just so that people understand the devastating consequences that oftentimes can be permanent? You speak to the science of that for a moment.
Absolutely. So basically, nitrous oxide prevents oxygen and blood flow from going to the brain. So it's used in instances, let's say, in my experience in residency in the ER, it would often be used for brief, what we call conscious sedation, to reset a bone that's popped out of place when you don't need to go to the operating room and have full general anesthesia. However, again, that's between 30 to 70%. There's also a very specific protocol for monitoring after. Many children need oxygen support after, so they're going to be monitored with regard to their pulse oxygen, you know, making sure that they're getting the oxygen that they need. And specifically, the way it seems to alter the B12, which is just a B vitamin that's really important in nerve endings, it can cause such permanent damage that you're getting gait changes, you're getting permanent neurological damage akin to almost a stroke in certain parts, and it's all through the spinal cord. In fact, we were actually just saying, with my tween, I was pregnant in my last year of residency, and just being pregnant, I was not allowed to be in the room with the kiddos that were getting the nitrous oxide just because of the fumes that could potentially harm my developing baby. I wasn't even the one necessarily administering it, but we were not allowed to be in the room. And now instead, it's being given at higher percentages directly to developing brains.
Thank you for that. And then just one more thing on the B12. So again, that's basically a permanent situation, I guess. The body will never be responsive or be able to metabolize B12. Is that effectively what's occurring?
Well, not necessarily metabolize it in that sense, but the part of the B12 that was needed for the nerve endings and the pathways is permanently damaged. It really, I think the easiest way to think about it, it's akin to a stroke. Once a certain part of your spinal cord or your brain has not received adequate oxygen, and the nerve endings that have been responsive to B12, but also just needing plain blood, they're not going to come back.
Very good. Thank you for the excellent testimony.
Chair recognizes Senator Paxton with questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you for being here. Is it your medical opinion that the science on this is very clear, that it is damaging?
We have a lot of data regarding short-term and the concerns of asphyxiation and lack of oxygen to developing brains. We do need more data on long-term damage, but in my medical opinion, there are absolutely cases where we have seen direct damage to developing brains resulting in irreparable neurologic damage from the misuse in minors of nitrous oxide.
Thank you, and I think that's a really important thing for parents to be aware of.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you being here today to say that. You know, people say a lot of things about, oh, that's good for you, that's bad for you, but your medical opinion is very important, and we appreciate you being here to share that.
My pleasure.
Chair recognizes Senator Betancourt is present. That is the only witness I'm showing for Senate Bill 666. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on, for, or against Senate Bill 666? Chair hears none. Senate Bill 666 be left pending in committee.